What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Packers, talk some draft, talk a little Matt LaFleur tonight, man. We got a great question from United Bates, one of our loyal listeners, had asked, hey, how do you feel about Matt LaFleur throughout his tenure? So we're going to talk about the good and the bad there with LaFleur. You guys know I'm a big fan. Spoiler alert.
We're going to talk about the challenge flag at all?
I think it'll probably get brought up for sure. Tim, how you doing, Bo?
Doing good, man. Happy to be here talking some Packers, man. How was your day, Clay?
Dude, it couldn't have been any better, man, other than some sore traps over here. We got out, we mowed the grass, got it all cleaned up, looking nice. Mandy been working in the yard all week. I got out here and did some redneck therapy and chopped up two willows that had fell down on the property. So we got firewood ready to go. So we're good, man. A little sore, but hey, it's there's nothing better than
I raked up some brush today. That's about it. You know, we're not cutting grass in Green Bay just yet, at least not at my house. We don't got that good Tennessee 80-degree weather yet, but I know it's coming for sure.
Heck yeah. Andy Monday in the chat says, nothing criminal. I mow the church lawn and was planting beets and carrots, second batch.
Wow.
Bears eat beets. Bears beat Battlestar Galactica. You got 2-0 for this. We'll enjoy that one, right? And he did say 65% ready to go. So we're about.
He's only 65%.
65%.
65%. That's what we. Right there. All right, let's get into the first topic of the night. Appreciate everybody swinging through. If you would hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Facebook, on YouTube, on Rumble. Also, check out the Patreon group. You can scan the QR code in the upper right. We got some awesome content in there. Tim, let's start off with a little quarterback talk. We always talk about how the quarterback is going to drive the draft every single year, right?
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, did we get a little bit of news today from Dane Brugler. And listen, a lot of rumors get started and this and that. When Dane Brugler talks, I listen. He's one of the people that I respect within the draft community, no doubt about it. And there's a handful of them that I really feel like, okay, they're getting this from a source. And here's what Dane Brugler said. Source, Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe has accepted an invitation to attend the 2025 NFL draft in Green Bay. Now, what does that mean? It could mean he just wants to take in the NFL draft, right? He may be a second, third round pick, but also when you get that invite, seems like more times than not, they're expecting you to go in the first round, right? Again, not a slam dunk, but we've been very, very vocal about Jalen Milroe on this particular show because he's higher than Jackson Dart on our draft board. It doesn't mean that I like him more than Jackson Dart. And when I look at the tape, this just means the data has suggested everything that we put into our draft board that he is a better prospect than Jackson Dart. So if you would, Tim, give me a screen grab real quick. It doesn't matter which one it is. And I'm going to play this clip here real quick. This came from the Ross Tucker Football Podcast as John Daigle, go give him a follow, at not JDAIGLE. And I'll also, of course, make sure you're following at Ross Tucker Pod. One of my favorite podcasts. I listen to it every episode that drops. I listen to it on my daily grind. But John Daigle here on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast says something that's really interesting when it comes to Jalen Milroe. Then we're going to deep dive this quarterback class. You can go ahead with that screen grab for me, Tim. I appreciate it, man.
We'll go Shug Hafley and Tupac LaFleur today.
I like it. There you go. Just set the mood here, right? Okay, here it is. John Daigle on Jalen Milroe. Check it out, guys.
I think Jalen Milroe, Oklahoma quarterback, is also, or Alabama quarterback, is also very live for this pick at number 21 overall, and you don't see his name at all in the first round of mock drafts. The Steelers have obviously done a lot of work on quarterbacks because there is just no way they enter the season having given DK Metcalf $150 million and then letting Mason Rudolph throw in the ball in week 1. It's not possible. And so they are taking a quarterback in the first round. I'm just not sure which one. Jackson Dart's the one who's most connected to the first round, but the Steelers did notably, Mike Tomlin, have dinner with Jalen Milroe already. They were also in on Justin Fields whenever he came out in the draft. Maybe they just view under Mike Tomlin, they want to go in a more athleticism direction under, with the offense. And Milroe would fit that bill maybe even better than Jackson Dart. But I do think they're taking a quarterback at number 21. I think,
and also, I want to say this, and thank you so much for that, Tim. I appreciate it, man. Jackson Dart, listen, Jackson Dart is very, very mobile. I don't think people realize how mobile Jackson Dart is. So he would be a fit there as well. But you've got to prepare. If Jackson Dart ain't there, do you feel good enough about Jalen Milroe to pull the trigger there if you're in Pittsburgh, of course? And again, we're talking – I know this is a Packers show, guys, but we're talking about quarterback because this is what's going to drive that first round of the draft. We want as many quarterbacks off the board as possible before we pick at 23, right? Drew D says 4 quarterbacks in the first round before us. Heck, yes.
Yes, sir.
He's back. Prince came back immediately with what I told you offline just now, Tim. He said Shuck could make it 5 if we all just believe.
Oh, we believe. At least these 2 guys on this pod believe right here.
Yeah, and again, why are we mentioning that? Because Greg Cosell said he actually has Tyler Shuck as his second best quarterback, even ahead of Shedeur Sanders.
Wow.
So, and he has it listed like, hey, here's where I've got everybody at on my board. But just reading the tea leaves, listening to every breakdown he's done on quarterbacks, what I think he has is Cam Ward 1, Tyler Shuck 2, Shedeur Sanders 3, Jackson Dart 4, then Jalen Milroe 5. Okay. Now, if we look at the consensus big board here, Tim, and just kind of take a quick glance at it from the quarterback position perspective, I should say, this is what they've got. Cam Ward 1, Shedeur Sanders in the 4 spot, Jackson Dart in the 30 spot, which would suggest the first round pick, Jalen Milroe in the 45 spot. Then they've got Will Howard 80, Quinn Ewers 92. They've got Tyler Shuck at 97, although he did peak at 71. So people were seeing Jalen Milroe at 45 and thinking, well, that means he's not a first round pick. They will reach on quarterbacks, right? Just because he's ranked 45th doesn't mean he's not going to climb into the first round, and people want to utilize that 5th-year option if he is a hit for them. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about all that, man, from the NFL quarterback standpoint here going into the draft? It's going to be interesting to see if 4, maybe 5 quarterbacks go before us.
Yeah, it's like a party, man. The more the merrier, right? Bring them all in. Get all these quarterbacks, man. Where's Kyle McCord at? Is he on that list anywhere?
He's down there in the 114 spot.
Okay,
Tim.
all right.
Let's get him in the first round. Hey, you know what? Riley Leonard, I watched him play at Notre Dame. Hell of a quarterback. Let's get him in the first round.
I was just going to say, let's go. You know, guys fall, guys move up as you head into the draft. It always happens. But I do think what's really interesting about this is because I've been, you know, Jackson Dart's been one of those guys I've been like back and forth on the fence with. And then, you know, Milroe is the next name that comes to mind. So it's real interesting to kind of see the comps that are coming out with him. And it'll be even better to see what happens, in fact, on draft day, if we get 4 or 5 off the board in the first round. That'll be a prime environment for Brian Gutekunst to do what he does best, which is draft top prospects. So like I said, the more the merrier for sure. I think a lot of people with Shedeur right now are kind of, you know, it seems like the general consensus, if you look at the socials, is he's either the truth or he's, you know, he's a bust. You know,
nothing in between, right?
There's like nothing in between with him. So it'll be real interesting to see where he goes. But, you know, you look at Cam Ward, man. I mean, that guy is clearly going to go 1, 2, or 3 probably based on, you know, the way the board kind of crumbles here, for lack of a better term. But I think Jalen Milroe is like, he's kind of like the not the outlier, but like the X factor. You know, if he goes you know, top 10, that could really make things interesting as far as the quarterbacks available in the first round and who might actually end up there. So I'm kind of with Clint here. I could see 5 in the first. That might be the high end, 4 or 5. I'll take it for sure.
And listen, I really like Jalen Milroe. Forget the football, as the leader.
Yeah,
he's a hell of a leader, man. And you talking about a guy who brings that in, not the Jameis Winston energy, which I love too. Don't get me wrong. That dude's just like, he is a soundbite waiting to happen. But Jalen Milroe is just that dude that's constantly thinking, how are my teams seeing me right now? Am I setting the tone? Those type of things, right? I think that's huge. And you know, sometimes teams may go, you know, we got a little bit of work to do there with the mechanics, and maybe he doesn't have quite the arm, but boy, oh boy, that presence, you know, could really make a difference on their team. Let's go to the chat here. As Clint Armchair Quarterback says, I could see 5 in the first, so he agrees. H.E. Solder said, quote, they say Sanders is dropping to the bottom of the first. And Greg Rice had asked, what's the knock on Sanders? The big knock on Sanders, and this, I've heard this from multiple people now. You look at his completion percentage, it's off the charts. It's like, okay, this dude's accurate. But this is why it's important to watch the tape. If you go watch the tape, I bet they threw more screen passes than any other team in college football. It was literally 3 to 5 yard passes to Travis Hunter underneath and and that's why Travis Hunter is so dynamic, because that dude, he made chicken salad out of chicken, you know what?
I was just going to say, you have to run your offense like that when your O-line is suspect, and, I think Shadir faced a lot of pressure, particularly last season. So it explains a lot of why they were trying to get that ball out quick, fast, and in a hurry. A lot of short routes.
Yep, definitely. Harry Cheese in the chat says all the quarterbacks plus some safeties and maybe get the Raiders to draft a kicker. Hey, there's precedent for that. There's precedent for that. Coach Lynn says Tyler Shuck is really buttoned up also, man. I'm telling you, you guys need to go listen to Greg Cosell talk about Tyler Shuck. If you just search on YouTube, I'm sure you can find it. Or just Google Greg Cosell, Tyler Shuck, and make sure you spell the last name right, because it screwed us all up this draft season. But if you hear the way he talks about him, and then to hear that people in the NFL reached out to him, like you seen it too, didn't you? I think there's something there, Coach. I agree with you. Judy, I'm still a Will Howard guy. Hey, I think there's a lot to like with Will Howard. I really do. And he didn't help his draft stock at the combine, right? He was kind of off the mark that day. But watch that drive him down, and then him get taken a little later, and next thing you know, he's a solid starting quarterback in the NFL. Will Howard's got some grit and another leadership guy, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I agree. It's funny too. It's like almost the same mindset with Shadir. Like, people are kind of on the fence. Did he help himself with his pro day, or did he hurt himself with his pro day? It all kind of depends on how you look at, these workouts. And, like we always talk about, how does the film look, and how did your last season end? And then like look back to the year before, when you're trying to build a profile on a prospect, rather than just looking at, your combine or your pro day and, those kind of like agility tests, measurables, things like that. It helps when you're evaluating, but I don't think that should set a player, higher or lower going into the draft. You want to look at the full spectrum of what they're bringing to the table, for sure.
Yeah. H.E. Solder says, if this is a good but not great draft with good depth, why not take a swing at quarterback? You said it, not me. All right. I would not be surprised one bit if someone falls and Goody reaches up. Jalen Milroe kind of comes to mind for me. As high as he is on our board, if he does drop to the 3rd or 4th round, I would have no problem with Matt LaFleur pulling the trigger on that, try to flip Malik Willis for a 5th or a 6th, and then you move along with someone like Jalen Milroe being the backup. Now, is that an ideal situation? No. I'm just saying, if Goody pulls the trigger on that, I completely understand why, right?
Yep.
For sure.
Especially if he loads up on, like you said, draft picks in another way before that happens, right?
Right.
We've always talked about him having, what do we have, 7 picks this year? He'd probably like closer to 10 if it were up to him. So however you can make some room, if you get a quarterback that falls to you like that, you absolutely pull the trigger. Best time to take one's when you don't need one, right?
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, we got 1 comp pick. So we're sitting at 8, I believe.
Okay, so 8. Perfect.
I'm with you, though. He's thinking 10 or 11 is what he wants. So that's how Goody rolls. So if we were to look at the quarterbacks, and again, this is, let's keep it sorted here. We should be able to find them. Matter of fact, let me just do a quick search for QB, and then we should be able to identify them pretty soon here, or pretty easy. So if we go QB here, right, and now they will all identify. So our top quarterback is in the number 7 spot, Cam Ward, right? And then our second best quarterback is Shedeur Sanders in the 17 spot. Next quarterback would be Jalen Milroe at 51. Then we have Jackson Dart at 79. Then Tyler Huff at 87. And then we've got Quinn Ewers and Dylan Gabriel in the 111, 112 spot. I think did we miss Tyler Shuck, or is he just that much? There he is right there. So we've actually got Tyler Shuck in the 117 mark. But look at this 7 right here, guys. That means that Greg Cosell, that's the most bonus we'll give for a Greg Cosell bonus. He absolutely loved Tyler Shuck. Now, also, as Tim had pointed out, too, when he was taking notes in the Senior Bowl, Tyler Shuck's somebody who flashed at the Senior Bowl.
Yep.
So I'm not going to change our board to all of a sudden say Tyler Shuck's a borderline first-round pick. I want to stay true to the board. But the reason that he is so low on our board, it's really, really easy to determine. The consensus big board at the end of the college football season had him in the 308 spot. And I want to keep that there to let us know, hey, there's a reason while we're not as high on him as others. It's because nobody really seen him as that until we got later in the draft process. As you can see, Kyle Krabs had him at 91. Dane Brugler had him at 59. Looked like Dane Brugler was ahead of the curve of everybody. Him and Greg Cosell kind of seen it looks like. And, of course, he had an RAS of 9+, and then running a 4.640. So he has Aaron Rodgers' young year type speed is essentially what you got at 6'4" in a quarterback.
Yep.
So there's a lot to like there. Now, there is injury history as well, right? We've talked about that. We don't have an injury box anywhere on here because he is healed up now, right? Like he's completely – we could probably throw one there because it's real simple. That's the reason we don't have a grade there is because he missed the majority, if not all, of 2023. But he was the 21st highest graded quarterback in college football, according to PFF as well. So
it's funny that you bring up the Senior Bowl because, I had 4 quarterbacks on my short list that I thought flashed. The other ones on the list other than Tyler Shuck was Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, and Seth Hennigan. And we just talked about them. So I think it's realistic possibility that we see 5 or more in this first round. I really do. The more we look at this, it seems like it could happen.
Yeah, definitely. So again, we'll keep our eye on the quarterback position. I think that you're going to have good rumors surface. Like all of a sudden, this guy's skyrocketing to the top. You'll have bad ones, and sometimes you got to step back and go, why is that surfacing right now to bring that player down? That probably means someone's trying to get him to drop to them in the first round. So just keep that in mind as we get even deeper into lying season here on April 6th, closing in on the draft. Which, like Tim had pointed out earlier, man, he put a tweet out there with Randall Cobb, number 18. We are 18 days away from the draft. I'm telling you, it's flying by. And I see some people on Twitter, they're like, God, this draft process is taking forever. I'm like, bro, I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time to get everything done that I want to get done. Like, it's crazy just building the board and everything. You know what I'm saying? There we go. I love it. Look at the turf. Look at the turf and Randall Cobb's helmet there.
What a great shot, right?
Yeah. One of my favorite Packers.
Snow falling, face full of Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
Love it.
And you guys know I'm very skeptical when the Packers, draft the Kentucky Wildcat or a Notre Dame Fighting Irish because those are my 2 favorite teams. But boy, oh boy, when they drafted Randall Cobb out of Kentucky, I lost my mind because I watched him from day one completely turn that Kentucky program around. Just a leader. He's to the best of my knowledge, the only Kentucky Wildcat to have a punt return for a touchdown, a kickoff return for a touchdown, throw a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and rush for a touchdown, which was just insane. And I think he actually scored on a 2-point conversion as well.
So I believe it.
Did it all. Absolutely all of it. So
it's Randall Cobb again, the infamous.
Yeah, it is. Oh my God, that's the best soundbite ever, dude. So anything else you want to add to the quarterback talk, Tim, before we move along here, brother?
No, let's keep it moving. I don't think any of our listeners want us to talk too much about quarterbacks, right? I think there's probably a handful that hope we don't draft one, to be honest with you.
And listen, there's a part of me, I've seen it in the chat, there's a part of me too, guys, that's like, I would much rather, let's just take, every other position. But boy, if they were willing to take Brian Brom in the second round when Aaron Rodgers was your starting quarterback, don't you dare convince yourself that there's no chance that they could take one if the board falls just right. I mean, it's that important of a position. Let's put it this way. People scoffed at the 49ers drafting Brock Purdy. Remember, they went and got Trey Lance that year. And what happened? Went and got Trey Lance. Then they got Brock Purdy with the very last pick of the draft. And now Brock Purdy's about to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks, and Trey Lance is playing in the CFL. Like, you better always be looking for that next great quarterback because anything can happen. Injuries can happen. People can just hit that wall. And there's precedent for it in Green. As Coach, bingo, stay out of my head, Coach. Green Bay always looking for quarterbacks to flip. Always. So, just keep an eye on it. I'm telling you, man.
Especially while we're talking about our best backup option right now as trade bait, right?
Exactly. All right, man. So up next, this is a question that came in from United Bates. He said, would be interesting to hear everyone's thoughts. Coach talk, starting with the big man, Matt LaFleur. Just off the top of your head, eye test top question. What is your biggest critique of Matt LaFleur currently? I keep coming back to the game planning / having the team fired up and ready to go. I'm not sure why.
Get ready to go.
just feel like other teams show up a little more motivated. AI breaks down some of the other things like play calling, in-game adjustments, etc. But if Matt LaFleur could get better in whatever aspect, what would it be in your opinion? That's a great question, Bates. Great question. So I did a deep dive with the AI to say, hey, like what are the strengths and weaknesses of Matt LaFleur? And before we get into that, let's give our honest opinion of it. And Tim, I'll let you go first so I don't steal any of your thunder, okay? What's maybe if you had, and I know you like Matt LaFleur just like I do, what's your biggest critique of Matt LaFleur? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think, he could be better at that? Does anything come to mind? And it's hard for me, I'm sure it's hard for you, because I'm not a football coach. I've never been a football coach. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, let me tell you what these guys need to do here. It's just, but what comes to the forefront of your mind there when you think about that question?
I know it's not a technical term, but too damn cute in the red zone. Does that count?
Oh, yes.
Little too many moving pieces, little too much flash and flare for my liking. We got Josh Jacobs, hand the ball off, block your ass off, get a touchdown. I'm over the jet sweep, triple fake reverse lateral, throw it to the flat, receiver option, whatever. Like, let's just stop getting cute in the red zone. That would be the first thing I think I would think of.
It looks like everybody agrees. J. Cole says play calling on 3rd and 1.
Yep.
Coach Lynn says bingo. United Bates, that's a solid one, Tim. Absolutely, man. H.E. Solder says challenge flag. Never let Matt LaFleur have the challenge flag. And mine is going to be a little bit deep of an answer, I believe. It's going to be kind of multifaceted. But the thing that comes to mind for me is emotion. He lets his emotion get the better of him. And I'm not talking about like I don't want a coach to show emotion. But when you get into those situations where the game is on the line and you need a level head, you need to think about everything you prepared all week long.
Yep.
You need to remove the emotion from the play call. You need to remove the emotion from the decision to go for it on 4th and 1 or whether to kick an extra point or not. And I think that's one of his weaknesses is he allows the emotion to get a hold of him. Now, that same emotion you can tell is rooted in his love for the game, his love for game plan, and his love for his team. And that's what makes him one hell of a coach. I don't think people realize how good we've got it with Matt LaFleur. So every coach is not going to be perfect. But the emotional aspect is what kind of gets me. And listen, I'm comparing Matt LaFleur to the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick. But if you'll go back and watch Bill Belichick, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, if you go back and watch Bill Belichick on that interception that Russell Wilson threw in the end zone in the Super Bowl that sealed it for New England, they were scrambling on the sidelines, right? And the coaches were in the headsets. If you go listen to the NFL Films version, the coaches were going, "Hey, Bill, what do you want to do here? What do you want to do here? You want to go goal line? Like, what do you want to do here?" And he said it was dead silence, and he went, "Yeah, I got it. Like, we're good. Chill."
Yep.
Right? And when you hear Belichick talk about it, he said, I'm looking to their sideline and they're scrambling and trying to – he said they did not look comfortable with what they were trying to put in place. So I'm like, I'm not going to bail them out here. You know how many coaches would be like, emotional. Let me think about this. Let me time out.
Right. And then
you're prepared. You're prepared. I think about his time back with Bill Parcells when he said when Coach Belichick said, people thought that Parcells gave him too many tongue lashings. Like they were, like, man, he's really, really disrespectful on the sideline. He said, listen, when you're in the heat of the battle, you give an order and you take an order. There's no time to argue about it or get your feelings hurt. We're trying to win a damn football game, right? So that's the one aspect. And when I say it's multifaceted, Tim, what I mean by that is he needs a coach. Coach LaFleur needs a coach. Bill Parcells had a coach in Mickey Corcoran, right, who actually, played basketball for Vince Lombardi in high school. Voice is going here. So Bill Parcells had Mickey Corcoran. Bill Belichick had Ernie, I think his name was Ernie Adams, right? They have these coaches behind the scenes that are coaching them on how to coach. And it just feels like, who's that for Matt LaFleur? Who would you think it is, right?
I think the plan is Coach B, right? Right now. I think
that's definitely his right-hand man, right? But in terms of for example, Parcells' right-hand man was Bill Belichick throughout his whole career. He took Belichick everywhere he went, right? And we soon found out after that, like well, maybe Belichick was the secret to that whole, you know what I mean? But not taking anything away from the Big Tuna. The Big Tuna was, hell of a coach. So the thing that comes to mind is like, who's his mentor? His mentor is Sean McVay. Well, Sean McVay is also an opponent.
Yeah.
Like, that's not his coach. So I would like to see him get someone in-house, a senior advisor type role, to help kind of coach him along his go, because he's already crushing it. If you had someone that's been around the game for a long time, and listen, I know Mike Shanahan ain't going to come in and do it and help him win games against his son Kyle, but whoever it might be Kubiak, the old man Kubiak that actually gave LaFleur and all those guys a job. I think in Houston. I think I'm getting that right. It was Kubiak.
Yeah, Gary Kubiak. I remember.
Yeah. Maybe somebody like that. Just go to Mark Murphy and now Ed Policy and just say, hey, listen, we need this dude on the payroll, and get him in house and just have him on the sidelines, have him in the box every game, just kind of overseeing everything. And
like we did last season with Bob Saleh, and kind of brought him in as a advisory kind of role, right?
Yep. H.E. Solder says, isn't that mentor Bisaccia? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Bisaccia is his assistant head coach. Bisaccia has only been an interim head coach. Like, you can't be coached by someone who hasn't done it at least the level you've done it or higher, or else you're just, you're banging your head against the wall, why was Mickey Corcoran so vital to Bill Parcells is because that was his high school coach. So he got to see Bill Parcells kind of come up the ranks as a basketball player and then a young football coach, and he brung him along everywhere with him, every step he went. Every step of the way, every coaching stop. So he had that respect for him up here, right? Rich Bisaccia is more of a, like, when Tim brought it up, it's like that's your right-hand man.
Right.
That's
not your mentor. That's your ace, not your mentor. Yeah.
And this I've thought about too over this. Bring in McCarthy as a mentor. People will laugh at that, right? But McCarthy's won a damn Super Bowl. And I just crack up at how many people slander Mike McCarthy. Like, now, would he mentor Matt LaFleur? Absolutely not. Matt LaFleur took his job. That's not good.
Sit your butt outside.
That's what Mike McCarthy would say to Matt LaFleur, probably. But again, it's not as easy as just, let me go call somebody up and get them in here to coach me. But I just feel like that's what's missing. That's what's missing a little bit. So anyway, let's get into the article that we had put together earlier. And this is AI basically pulling information from all over the internet and saying, all right, here are the strengths and weaknesses of Matt LaFleur. I'll try to keep my voice together here as we go along, but it is going quick. I know too much sawdust in the lungs today after using a chainsaw all day, Tim, is what this is.
Redneck therapy. I love it, man.
Redneck, I don't know what you would call that, wood lung, I guess. But here we go. Matt LaFleur has been the head coach of the Green Bay Packers since 2019, and over his tenure, he's shown a mix of impressive strengths and some notable weaknesses. Let's break it down based on his track record and what's been observed through his time in Green Bay. All right. First thing, it says offensive mind and play design. LaFleur's roots in the Shanahan-Kubiak coaching tree shine through in his ability to craft a creative and effective offense. He's got a knack for designing plays that maximize. I'm trying to go back and forth from screen to screen here. Where am I at here? I already lost my spot here.
Maximize quarterback efficiency and lean on a balanced attack right there.
Yeah. His first 3 seasons. Could you do me a favor, Tim, and pull that QR code down for me? That's what's messing me up there.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. We'll put it back up in a minute. All right, his balanced attack. His first 3 seasons with Aaron Rodgers saw the Packers rank among the NFL's top offenses, averaging 13 wins per year from 2019 through 2021. He's particularly adept at using motion and misdirection to confuse defenses, which has kept Green Bay competitive even as the roster evolved. All right, goes on to say winning record and consistency. The guy's a winner, plain and simple. LaFleur's 67-33 regular season record through 6 seasons gives him a .670 winning percentage, one of the best among active coaches. He's led the Packers to the playoffs in 5 of his 6 years, including 3 straight NFC North titles from 2019 to 2021. That kind of consistency is rare, especially with a franchise transitioning from a Hall of Fame quarterback in Rodgers to a younger, less proven one in Jordan Love. And if you look here where he ranks all time, guys, winning percentage, he is 13th all time with a .670 winning percentage. These are the coaches that he's ahead of, okay? Let's just go down the list here real quick. Tony Dungy, Hall of Famer, right? The crosses mean they're Hall of Famers. Andy Reid, first ballot Hall of Famer, right? George Seifert, Bill Belichick, first ballot. He's got a higher winning percentage than Bill freaking Belichick through 6 seasons. Okay. Patty Driscoll, that just sounds like the coolest name ever. Look at that. Curly Lambeau, that sound familiar?
Here's a guy.
Mike Tomlin will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So the dude is literally 13th in winning percentage all time. Okay. Player relationship and leadership. Okay. LaFleur's ability to connect with players is a big asset. He earned Rodgers' trust early on, no small feat, and has since fostered a strong rapport with Jordan Love and the younger core. His quote, his team first philosophy and calm demeanor seem to keep the locker room steady, even during tough stretches. Players respect him, which helps maintain morale and buy-in. Now, people hear that and they immediately think he's not calm. You've seen him on the sideline. It's a good point. But what it's talking about is in the locker room. Think about what happens at the end. How many times have we seen him in a press conference and fans have gotten pissed on Twitter going, here goes LaFleur again saying it's on him. It's on him. He's just constantly bailing out Joe Barry. He's bailing out his pass rush. He's bailing out his quarterback. Like, that's leadership 101.
Yep.
You praise in public and you critique in private. Period. Case closed. That's what it means there with player relationships and leadership. All right, adaptability with quarterbacks. He's shown he can adjust his system to fit different styles. With Rodgers, he leaned into a pass-heavy, precision-based attack with the RPOs that we talked about. With Love, especially in 23 and 24, he shifted towards a more balanced approach, emphasizing the run game and play action to ease the young quarterback's transition. The offense didn't collapse post-Rodgers, which speaks to his flexibility. As we talked about, they finished, Tim? 4th in the league in passing in yards per pass attempt last year, which I think is the most important passing statistic outside of, controlling the turnovers, not turning the ball over with the interceptions. And I put that picture in there with Willis because it doesn't even mention Malik Willis. Literally plugged and played Malik Willis on a short week, and we never missed a beat.
Yeah, wasn't that incredible? Can we just take a minute to enjoy that for a second, that Malik Willis was a Packer for all of 10 days or something before he had to go out there and get it done as a starter. And correct me if I'm wrong, he was 2-0 as a starter when we needed him the most. So clearly we have the quarterback whisperer in Matt LaFleur for sure.
Yeah. Chris the Casualian says, I love Matt LaFleur as a head coach, just needs some fine tuning. A GM that seems to work more as a team in talent selection would be a great strategy. See, that's the other thing too. And I'm going to say it again this year, boys. I'm just going to be honest with you. If we go into 2025, week 1, the youngest team in the league again, I'm not going to sit here and go, boys, we're winning the Super Bowl. I hope it happens. It has never happened in the history of the game. Right. And the fact that we keep going out there as the youngest team, and we keep coming up short, it doesn't mean you go sign a bunch of 35-year-olds. But what it means is the only thing you're lacking, most likely, the fact that Matt LaFleur has got this extremely high winning percentage, even with the youngest teams in the league, you add a little veteran leadership, and that might get you over the hump. Now, what are we doing in this offseason? This is where I've got to give Goody credit. You go get Aaron Banks. He's a veteran, still young, but a veteran, going to be 27. You go get Nate Hobbs right around that same age spot, right? So I kind of feel like that's what Goody did this year. Was he kind of leaned in a little bit and said, all right, let's get a couple veterans in here, plug and play. Both of those guys are going to start. I know some fans think they're horrible signings or overpaid, whatever. The reality is they are going to start. Banks is going to start at guard most likely, and Nate Hobbs is going to start at corner. So you literally found 2 starting players.
And McCole Hardman's going to make our wide receiver room extremely competitive. Mm-hmm. Even before talking about who we're drafting, even as it stands right now, bringing a guy like that in, Super Bowl champion, he's gonna bring that intensity, and that the competition in the receiver room is gonna thrive, I believe, going into camp.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be huge, man. And then with this NFL draft, let's see if we can, maybe get 1 or 2 to plug and play, kind of like we did Evan Williams last year. Javon Bullard, I know Javon Bullard was not a good football player at safety last year, but in the slot, I felt like he did hold his own and really helped out in the run game. And that's something that showed up on paper. The fact that the run defense improved so much, you can't just dismiss the fact that you're going to be out there in your nickel 4-2-5 the majority of the time, and then all of a sudden that nickel corner is showing really good run defense, or the run defense gets better as a whole, you got to give credit there. Again, coverage wasn't his strong suit, but, we'll see. All right, let's go to the weaknesses now. Let's talk about the bad part. In-game decision-making. Everybody goes, yes. LaFleur's clock management and situational choices have drawn criticism. Take the 2020 NFC Championship game against Tampa Bay. Down 8 late, he opted for a field goal instead of going for it on 4th and goal, a call that's still debated. More recently in 2024, his handling of timeouts in late-game situations, like the playoff loss to the Eagles, left fans and analysts scratching their heads. He can get conservative or indecisive when the pressure's on. Playoff struggles. Despite regular season success, LaFleur's 3-5 postseason record is a glaring weakness. The Packers have repeatedly faltered against top teams in big games. Losses to the 49ers twice. The Bucs and Eagles highlight a pattern of coming up short. Some point to his inability to adjust mid-game or out-scheme elite coaches like Kyle Shanahan or Nick Sirianni in the playoffs. Now, I want to push back a little bit on that. Why did we lose to the 49ers? You guys remember? Y'all remember the block punt that was returned for a touchdown in the 4th quarter?
Yep.
We're just going to forget about that. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that go on. And again, why did that happen? We all know we were not putting any emphasis whatsoever on special teams at that moment. Now, we've since taken a different direction. You got the holding situation under control there with our boy Daniel Whalen. Also, he's one of the best punters. I think he's a top 3 punter in the league. That's my opinion.
Yep.
You go get Brandon McManus now. And listen, we just got McManus halfway through the season, or a quarter of the way through the season last year. So when I look at some of those playoff losses, look at the Eagles game, Tim. What happened in the Eagles game? The opening kickoff. Keyshawn Nixon fumbles the opening kickoff, right? And your back is against the wall the entire game. Hearing Coach Belichick talk about that on the Manning cast, he was like, man, what do you do as a coach when you fumble the opening kickoff?
Well, we talk about that play, right? We talked about the helmet to helmet, Oren Burks hit on Keyshawn and, should it or should it not have been flagged, right? Did he in fact fumble the ball? Maybe he did, but he certainly recovered it. We all know that. We saw that. But the real question, to your point, Clayton, is who missed the block? Who missed the block on Oren Burks that allowed, our return man to get blown up like that?
Right.
That's the real question.
That's where it comes down to execution. And you guys know how I feel about that. I have a hard time believing the coaches didn't work on blocking on kick return. Just like I have a hard time believing they haven't coached Keyshawn on don't run into a pile with your head, with your head first there. Bob. By the way, we all know it should have been a penalty, helmet to helmet too, but that's a story for a different day. 2-0 for this says that field goal was the right choice. I think you and I are the only 2 people on the face of the earth that say that 2-0 for this. Look, you kick the field goal, now a touchdown wins you the game, right? If you go for it on 4th down with them pinned kind of deep, with it being 4th and goal, if there's enough time left, I can see the argument on the other side as well. You know what I mean? Like, because you're going to maximize on them being pinned deep, and more things can go wrong than right for an offense when they're just trying to create a little bit of ground to push that thing out of there. Then who knows, maybe you block the punt if they get too conservative there as well. So I agree with that 2-0 for this. I don't think many people do. All right, let's see here. Over-reliance on explosive plays. This is what we're talking about, Tim. How many times do we go, just pick up the first down? Now, you could put this on Jordan Love, not taking the check downs. We showed it on Chalk Talk all year long, right? And LaFleur is going to catch the heat for it because it's just going to this picture is going to be painted of, no, LaFleur called a shot play. No, there's multiple facets underneath. Ryan Schlipp has done a hell of a job highlighting like Jordan's got to get better at checking those down. You ain't got to try to play hero. Remember when it was all Aaron Rodgers' fault playing hero ball? Well, now it's Jordan Love playing hero ball.
Yeah.
So
there's always going to be a shot play worked into some of those play calls, right?
Absolutely.
So if your quarterback's continuously taking the shot play, that's not necessarily a head coaching thing, right?
Right. Exactly. So his offense thrives on big plays, but when those dry up, it can stall. In 2024, the Packers' late season swoon, scoring just 10 points against Philly in the playoffs, showed how choppy things can get without chunk yardage. He's less effective at grinding out drives with shorter, precise passes, which can leave the team vulnerable against stout defenses. Discipline and detail. The Packers have had stretches of sloppy play, penalties, drops, special teams, disasters that reflect on coaching discipline. The 2022 special teams meltdown against the 49ers in the playoffs is a prime example. Some argue LaFleur's, quote, nice guy approach lets these issues fester, especially compared to more hard-nosed coaches. I think that's a fair argument, but again, what else are you going to do other than tell the PP, listen, bub, don't let that dude hit your punter in the damn mouth?
Yep.
You can't go out there and block for him, So you notice I'm picking some of this stuff apart, and I'm not saying I'm right and the article's wrong, or you guys, if you disagree, you're wrong. I tend to lean toward LaFleur going, what are the players getting paid for? Like, are you saying we'd had another 10 reps in practice to help block on personal protection on punts? That wouldn't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So again, it's historically accurate to say that general managers who have this West Coast route in them, to where like you're building a West Coast offense as opposed to the Parcells East Coast type of building a roster. Belichick always had top special teams play. Parcells, top special. They believe special teams is so important, right?
Yeah. They'll win you the game or they'll lose you the game, right?
Right. And that's why I feel like Bisaccia's done a good job. And I know the rankings show we're dead last and this and that. I said it when they hired him. I just get rid of the blocks, right? Let's stop getting punts blocked to lose games. Let's make sure somebody can hold for the kick and get us a decent kicker in here. And it took Goody, man. It took Goody about 3 or 4 swings to finally say, all right, we'll bring in Brandon McManus. So I know we had to let that clear, all the personal stuff, off the field stuff, but yeah. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. The overall take, it says LaFleur's strengths lie in the offensive creativity, leadership, and ability to rack up regular season wins. He kept the Packers relevant through a quarterback transition, which is no small feat. But his weakness, shaky in-game decisions, playoff shortcomings, and occasional lapses in team discipline suggest he's still got room to grow, especially in high-stakes moments. With Jordan Love developing a young roster maturing, his ability to address these flaws could determine whether he takes Green Bay back to the Super Bowl or remains a regular season maestro who can't quite close the deal. So again, thank you to United Bates for bringing that up as a topic. I think that's a fascinating, just kind of little case study of, all right, here's where LaFleur's at. I think we've got a top 5 coach in the league. That's my personal opinion, but there's still room to grow in many of those weaknesses, Tim. I really do feel like if he had a mentor, if he had a coach's coach in-house, you would at least get, some 10% better at some of those things. You know what I mean?
I agree. And, he's going into year 7 here as a head coach, like experience has been teaching him along the way. And I think you're right. You add in an elder statesman kind of dude into the fold that can kind of just, be in his ear. And like you said, kind of take him under his wing and give him some guidance. I don't see how that could be a negative at all. Because otherwise we're going to continue to just, go through the process with Matt and live and learn as he does, and experience will be his determining judgment. You think, as many times as he's knocked on the door, NFC championship appearances and, playoff berths or not, but we're bound to get over the hump sooner or later. I just think a lot of us disagree on what the formula might be to get there. But I certainly would agree with your statement that having the youngest team in football year after year after year that's not going to help you at all in that kind of category.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour 2. Let's get it. So we're going to talk Packers minimum athletic threshold for the draft. We're going to hit that in a minute. I want to finish up these questions in here in the chat, in the Patreon chat. And again, this is just one of the perks of being a member on the Patreon group. You can ask questions for the show in here. It works just like a super chat on YouTube, although we greatly appreciate the super chats here on YouTube as well. And hopefully we already missed one. Look at this. Unbelievable. As soon as I went back into the chat, crap. This Bates. Thank you so much, Bates. Thanks, Clay, for covering that. Awesome input. I love Matt LaFleur. Just good to hear everyone's input from a constructive criticism point of view. Amen to that, dude. Yeah. And that's what I love about what we do here, man. Differing opinions come together, put our heads together. What we think's right, wrong, and different. I think it's awesome.
That's a great point by Bates there. That's all it is, right? Constructive criticism.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, thank you so much, Bates. We appreciate you, pal. All right. It says hour 2, Clayton spitting sawdust. That's a fact, man. That's a fact.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
All right. So one of the other questions here by Harry Cheese said, if LaFleur switches it up because of the switch to running styles, Could you see us going after a tight end to compete? Move to more 12 personnel and put less stress on wide receiver core to start the year. I think there's a chance of that happening, Harry. I really do. The question is, how does the board fall, right? Like if Colston Loveland is there at 23, I think Packer fans might lose their mind over us taking a tight end over a wide receiver at 23. But man, if the board suggests do it, heck yeah, do it, and be able to press into 12. And again, I know people are going to say, what about Musgrave? And I'm a big Musgrave fan too, but man, competition and injuries happen at tight end. We've talked about that numerous times here on the show. So I think that's a great question. I really do. Harry Cheese. So thanks for that. I think I would be okay with that is how I would answer that question. Tim, how do you feel about that? Would you like to see a little more 12 this year? Or do you think we should lean in 11? Because one thing we did come up with as we were doing chalk talks, we noticed all year long, all the explosive plays came out of 11 personnel. It was always happening out of 11 personnel. So again, when you hit explosives, you triple your chances of scoring on that drive. So if you're taking yourself out of 11 personnel and putting yourself in 12, and the numbers suggest you're going to minimize those explosive plays, which is basically passing plays of over 20 yards, running plays of over 10 yards, then that kind of feels like it's counterproductive. You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally agree. But just a counterpoint would be what we just covered with LaFleur, right? Relying on the explosive play or the big play all the time. I think it's going to come naturally in a Matt LaFleur offense, man. He's a guru, right? But I do think mixing in, I'm not saying going to like heavy 12 approach, but mixing in some 12 looks and having the tight ends to do it, I don't think that's a bad idea. I really don't. And I don't know. I know what you mean though about like counterproductive, right? In the sense that you may chip yourself into oblivion and, have really long drives that end up with no points on the board kind of scenario. You need those explosive plays. You need those shot plays, but I would be totally on board with seeing a little bit of 12 mixed in there if the personnel's right, Maybe it is Colson Loveland, right? Pick 23. Let's go.
Yeah. As 2-0 for this says Colson Loveland and Crab.
There it is.
And that would be lovely. That sounds great. Chris, the casual in with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Bub. He says mock draft Sunday for the diehards.
Diehards.
What do you think, Tim? Should we do it, man?
Listen, we always got a mock in there. Come on now.
I've got other stuff lined up, but we can bleed it right into tomorrow. That ain't no problem. Why don't we do it, man? He paid for it. Let's finish with the questions here, and we'll jump right into a mock draft. Chris, thank you so much for the super chat, bub. We appreciate you. Chris C in the chat profile pic. Thoughts on Jack Jones' release from the Raiders today? 15 missed tackles, 115 pass rating. Pass rating allowed, I imagine. This is a cornerback, I believe, Tim. And he's got the PFF grades here. Overall PFF grade of 53.9. Pass rush grade of 80.2. Jack Jones, wait a minute. Is he a linebacker? Can you help me out with that, Tim?
It says defensive back on.
No, it does say, yeah, you're right. It says corner. Never mind. So the pass rush grade, throw it out the window. That's a nickel blitz probably or a cat blitz. And, you're going to get pressure 90% of the time with those. It's just if they get that throw off, you're probably burned for a gasher. Run defense grade 58.6 and coverage grade of 52.9. There's nothing there I'm interested in. You're talking about taking Carrington Valentine or Kalen King or somebody like that's opportunity away for someone who's probably going to grade out worse. Me no like you that, Jam. What do you think, Tim? Would you be okay with Jack Jones or are you passing on that?
I think I'd pass. Maybe not a hard pass, but I would definitely pass.
Somebody gave it a thumbs down. That was Chris Ian, smart ass in there. He just thumbs down. I at least throw the heart just saying, hey, we acknowledged it. Love it. All right, so let's do it. Let's get into a mock draft. It'll take me just a second to set it up. And we're going to use the mock draft database again, or the mock draft database simulator. We'll do 7 rounds. We'll go fast. And
you doing trades or no trades?
I think we'll trade back if we get the right opportunity. You know what I mean? If that's okay. All right. So let me get this popped over here and see if everything looks okay on your screen. I want to make sure. The other day, it was weird how it got a little wonky on us. Let's go. All right, here we go. Bang, mock draft. Let me just change up my notes here real quick. Tim, what are you thinking before we go into this mock draft real quick? Of all the mock drafts we've done lately, is there anything you feel like we came up short on? Should we key in on something a little different? I feel like we've let the board kind of come to us, but what's your initial thoughts before we get in this mock draft, man?
Trenches.
Got it. Got it, man. Unless Ted McMillan falls, right?
Right. There you go.
or Coast and Loveland, or just name a few others. All right,
sure.
let's do it, boys. Let's get into it. Let's go ahead and crank this thing up. Here we go. And I'd like to scroll back if we could and just see who was taken. All right, we got us a trade offer. They're offering us.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
No.
They're wanting a 23rd pick for us to trade back to the third to pick up a third, 2 fourths, and a second rounder next year. No, sir.
Is there another one? Let's see.
This one's trading for the first as well down to 34 and picking up 2 third-rounders from the Giants.
2/3, though. That's intriguing.
Let me scroll through and make sure there ain't a better offer here. There's trading back.
What?
Look at this.
What?
Trading
That's
back
not
5 spots, but
realistic.
picking up an extra second. Bro. All right.
Now, who is Detroit going to take with our 23rd pick?
I don't know, man. So
someone will regret probably.
Here's the 2 best offers here. Okay. We can trade back from 23 to 34. Chat, you got to go quick, man. Got to go quick. We got 2 chats here. Okay. Let us know which, you got 2 trades. Let us know which trades you want us to take here. So we're trading the 23rd pick for the 34th pick in the second round, which is essentially, the second pick of the second round. But we pick up a 3rd rounder at pick 65, a 3rd rounder at pick 99, a 5th rounder at pick 154, a 7th rounder at 246, and then a 7th rounder in 2026. So essentially we're trading out of the first to the second to pick up 2 extra thirds. So we would end up with 2 second rounders and 3 third rounders.
This seems like we're living in La La Land. This doesn't seem like something that's going to happen.
Don't think the Giants would do it?
Gotcha. Well, maybe if any team, the Giants or the Jets, right, would probably do something like that.
Deadfish says it's not real. I think, everybody seems to think these are not real too, Tim. So they're in agreement with you. Like to trade back with the Lions, they would trade up 5 spots and give up pick 60, which is in the second round, along with the 4th. So you're saying that feels like it's unrealistic too, right? So yeah. All right, no trade then. We're going no trade, guys, because it does seem a little unrealistic to everybody. All right, so here we are at pick 23. The best on the board is Mike Green, edge defender out of Marshall, Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas, Malachi Stark, safety out of Georgia, Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan, and then Nick Emenwore, safety out of South Carolina, Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina, and then we got James Pierce Jr. down there as well. Tim, let me get your thoughts on this little crop right here. I'm going to get my board off to the other side here so I can kind of comb through and see who's the best available.
I'm going to be typically boring as always and tell you my gut is saying Kenneth Grant out of Michigan right here at 23.
Kenneth Grant is 14th on our board. That would be a great quality pick for us right here. Matthew Golden is in the 37 spot, so that's significantly lower. Mike Green is in the 20th spot, so he's below Kenneth Grant. All right. We're not interested in Malachi Starks. We really don't need a safety. Neither do we need Nick Emenwore. James Pierce Jr. is the interesting one. They've got him 25th. Yeah, see, we've got James Pierce Jr. In the 12th spot. So here's the decision it comes down to. Chat, you help us. Tim, you help me kind of keep an eye on the chat here. Yeah. The pick is going to be either James Pierce Jr., edge defender out of Tennessee, or Kenneth Grant, 3-tech out of Michigan. The Packers have had a top 30 visit and met with James Pierce Jr. James Pierce Jr. was a captain on that Tennessee team. Kenneth Grant was not, okay? So just keep that in mind. If we were going strictly off the board, it would be James Pierce Jr. here because he is 1 tier higher than Kenneth Grant. However, Kenneth Grant, we've talked about 3-tech all offseason.
Yeah. We've got like 8 votes for Kenneth Grant in the chat right now.
That's what I'm seeing too here. And again, Mike Green, I would be okay with it if we knew that Goody did his due diligence and the personal issues checked out, right? We've got the purple box because we think there's a little smoke there, So we would probably steer clear unless he felt like the second round you could risk doing it. So, yeah, it looks like the chat's saying Grant, doesn't it? No, 3
for the most part.
Fish, Grant. 3 votes for Grant. There you go. Now there's a bunch. It does seem like it's Grant here. So, all right.
I mean, there is an argument that we can get D-line, in the second or third as well, but I just don't know if we're going to get Kenneth Grant level D-line that far.
Now, if we were to entertain the wide receiver position here, Tim, The best wide receiver available right now on our board is Emeka Egbuka in the 19 spot. Okay. Then it's Luther Burden, Luther Burden's already gone, so scratch that. Matthew Golden's in the 37 spot. Jaden Higgins is in the 48 spot. So Jaden Higgins and Trey Harris is actually in the 50 spot or the 49 spot. I'm sorry. Jaden Higgins is 48. So those two would be reaches right here, big reaches, to be honest with you. Emeka Egbuka would be the only receiver that would make sense. We know Goody showed a lot of interest in Emeka Egbuka. We would get a bad grade on the mock draft database because they don't have Emeka Egbuka as a suggestion right now. Okay.
Right.
So now you guys know how I feel about that. Throw those grades out the window because we're going off of what I feel like is more important data, the compilation of our entire board. But the chat said Grant, but I just wanted to look at wide receiver. Okay. So we went Grant over James Pierce Jr., right? And I think everybody still thinks Grant over Egbuka. Does everybody agree with that? Do we think Kenneth Grant over Egbuka? Because Egbuka is the only wide receiver I would look at our board and go, yeah, that's the one right there. So
SDN 40. Tim is saying Grant to preserve a Higgins pick at 54. I see you working.
Chess, not checkers, right? So.
You know what? It's true. That is kind of what I was thinking because whether it's Higgins or even Trey Harris there at 54, I'd feel really good about either one of those guys.
Mm-hmm. Greg Rice asked a great question. Who did Cosell love out of those two? Emeka Egbuka, he got the 3-point bonus, okay? And Kenneth Grant, he got a 3-point bonus, so it's a tie. So,
wow.
Yeah. And again, Kenneth Grant is 2 tiers higher on our board than Emeka Egbuka. And we do tiers of 5 points, 5-point increments. So, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I think it's Mike Hebring saying Higgins. All right.
I see it.
I think it's Grant, right, boys?
I think it's Grant. I'd love to draft Jaden Higgins right there, but I think it's Kenneth Grant.
Yeah. And Drew D says, I think Grant would pair well with Wyatt. I agree with that because Grant is a much bigger body. And that's someone it feels like you want someone who can play 3-tech, but also if Kenny's gone next year and he's been playing 1-tech, put Kenneth Grant in 1-tech next year. And then when you go to your pass rush downs, both of them can play that 3-3, right? That 33.
Great point.
There you go. Is Harmon gone? I think Harmon's probably still here. Yeah, Harmon's still here. Harmon is 28th on the consensus big board, and we've got Derek Harmon in the 25 spot. So significantly lower than Kenneth Grant.
Is Walter Nolan there? Just out of curiosity.
Walter Nolan is gone. Isn't it funny? All of a sudden,
yep,
he's flying off the boards now, ain't he, Tim? Telling you, man.
Interesting.
He's a stud, man. He plays with power, big time power. So, all right, Craig Ross. I hate that Grant is from Michigan, though. That's a valid argument. So, all right, we're gonna go Grant here. All right. Somebody asked, Greg Rice said, what quarterback? So let's take a peek at quarterback. Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, and then, Will Howard's a pretty big drop-off. So Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe did not go before we picked in this particular draft. So, all right. Let's do this. Let's go Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant it is. I haven't seen anybody other than Mike Hebring scream 54th best pick or 49th best pick, pick 23. So here we go. Kenneth Grant is the pick. Hey, they gave us an A. Imagine that. All right. So we got defensive tackle out of the way, right? And again, I think that sets you up for the future. You go into the trenches. When Kenny moves on next year, if he doesn't want to reduce that cap hit, you're in a pretty good spot there. So going back to Jalen Milroe's still there. So it looks like Jackson Dart did go. So
how many QBs went in the first? Can we scroll back?
Oh, man, I don't know how to do that, Tim, unless we go. Okay. Yeah, unless it won't even let me change there. I'm sure there's a way to see it, but I'm not sure. We'll be able to see it at the end for sure.
Okay.
I think there's a chance Jackson Dart went after we picked, But,
I could see that.
Okay, so now with the 54th pick, we already took a D tackle. I think we're all saying is Higgins there. Higgins is gone, boys. Gone.
Oh, but look who's not gone.
Trey Harris. Now, Trey Harris is on our board. He was right behind Higgins. Like, if you were to line our board up on draft night, I guarantee you that would be a cluster buster for Brian Gutekunst. You have Jaden Higgins in the 48 spot, Trey Harris in the 49 spot. So you would look at those two guys and go, okay, What's the cluster buster? I would go with our head scout, which is Greg Cosell. He gave a 5-point bonus to Jaden Higgins. I haven't heard him say anything about Trey Harris. It doesn't mean he doesn't like Trey Harris, but he's just not said anything to this point. So Trey Harris would be the pick at wide receiver here for me. There's no two ways about that. It's not even close. Now, what are some of the other needs we have? Corner, right? You got Darian Porter there out of Iowa State. He's 58th on their board. Then it drops off to Jacob Parrish, and it gets thin pretty quick.
Yeah.
So Darian Porter is quite the drop-off. Let me see where Darian Porter is on our board. Tim, how are you feeling about this right now with Trey Harris? Kind of looks like Trey Harris is the obvious pick here, right?
If we're going receiver, right? If we're going wide receiver here, I would agree. I would say probably Harris, and then I may even just go ahead and take a shot at Jack Besh or something. Or I think we had was Jalen Noel up there too.
Jalen Noel is there as well.
Yep.
He's in the 73 spot, so it's a little bit of a reach.
Yeah. But those are the names that pop out to me. But I would agree if we take Trey Harris here if we're going receiver.
Yeah, and Darian Porter, like if we're trying to talk ourselves into cornerback here, Darian Porter is 70th on our big board. The main thing that brung him down is his PFF grade. He was 80th at his position last year. PFF big board had him at 41. The consensus big board had him at 91. Kyle Krabs had him at 46. However, Dane Brugler had him at 99.
Can we take a look at edge here?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, actually. Oh, my God. Landon Jackson.
Jack Sawyer.
Let's see where Landon Jackson is. So Landon Jackson's in the 29 spot on our board here, Tim. Boy, Jordan Birch, I want to say he's somewhere nearby as well. He's definitely not higher. Michael Williams is already gone. Man, Landon Jackson is hands down the best available of the positions we've looked at so far, man.
One more. How about interior O-line?
Interior O-line. We got Jonah Savanaya. Tate Ratledge is still there. Charles Grant.
Jared Wilson.
Yeah, let me take a look at Charles Grant real quick. I know we've got him he's in the 69 spot. Tate Ratledge is in the 62 spot. Yeah, none of those make sense. Let's take a look at tackle real quick. You know, we like to kick those inside. Cam Williams is still there.
Wow, Wyatt Malum's still there.
Yeah, Cameron Williams is he's in the 96 spot for us. Wyatt Malum, let's see what we got him real quick. Wyatt Malum is in the 59 spot.
So that's closer.
Yeah, Trapillo's lower. So, yeah, to me, it's either Landon Jackson or Trey Harris. So here's the problem with this, guys. Landon Jackson is significantly higher, no doubt. It's a more important position, in my opinion, than wide receiver. That's tough, man. If they were ranked the same, I'd say, you know what, Trey Harris would be my pick. But the fact that Landon Jackson's up there around first-round status for us on our board, that's tough, man. That's really, really tough. What do you got?
I'm all out of it because we don't have Jaden Higgins on the board anymore. I don't know what to do now. I'm so used to taking him at 54. My gut's telling me Landon Jackson here. What does the chat think here?
Yeah, and Drew D says, I feel like we can get wide receiver in the third round. So, boy, I'm telling you, man, if we go Landon Jackson here, you really like your chances of either Kenneth Grant or Landon Jackson hitting.
Yeah.
You know? And that's going to help the pass rush.
Let's run that card.
All right, we're going Landon Jackson, man. Chuck said, I changed my mind. Take Jackson. All right, got it. Ed Fish says he wants Harris, but I think we got to take Jack. See, that describes me perfect, Ed Fish.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, boy, I'd love to have Trey Harris at 54. But Landon Jackson's just too good to pass up on, man, for sure. Hey, Mike Hebring with the super chat. Rashawn Gary and LVN need more snaps, not less. It's not going to happen, though, Mike. I agree with you, Bo. I don't want Gary to come off the field, but that's a Matt LaFleur thing, man. Through three different defensive coordinators, they've done that heavy rotation. So we could take we could sit here and say, okay, we don't need an edge defender because we're going to keep Gary and LVN on the field. But I think you and I both agree it's just not going to happen, So imagine Landon Jackson, if you're going to rotate, and we know they're going to rotate, imagine Landon Jackson in there coming off the bench with Brenton Cox Jr., who led the team in pressures, right? So
very true.
Yeah, Matt LaFleur in the hockey lines. It's true. So thank you for the super chat, Mike. I'm with you, man. It's just I don't
think they're going
to listen to us.
we talked about JJ and Igbari, right? One of our kind of favorite dudes, but he has his, ups and downs. That could be a guy that loses snaps, not necessarily LVN or Rashawn.
Yeah. All right, we're going to stick to the board here, Tim. With the 54th pick, we're getting the 48th best prospect according to them, but I think he's 30 on our board. Landon Jackson. That's an A+.
A+. Let's go.
All right, moving along here. So we've taken edge, or we've taken defensive tackle, and we've taken edge, right? So this is kind of entering that land of, boy, if we're going to go wide receiver, it better happen soon, you know?
Like right about meow.
Yeah. There's Coach Lynn's boy, Kyle Williams, which is wild because he's so low on our board, but it sounds like he's skyrocketing up everybody's board, Tim.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay put, but
Man,
here's the top receivers available. Savion Williams, Kyle Williams, Ty Felton, Dante Thornton, Isaac Tesla, Pat Bryant. You guys know Pat Bryant was one that really caught our eye because of the drop percentage and his success against man coverage. We've got Pat Bryant in the 126 spot. What do we got Tesla at? Tesla's way down. We got Dante way down. Ty Felton. Where's Ty Felton at?
Can we go back and take a receiver at 54?
Right. Mike Hebring's going, see, you should have reached on Jaden Higgins in the first round. I love it when they mix these up, though, man. I really do. So Pat Bryant is in the 126 spot on our board. I think he's the best that I can see here. Yeah, he's definitely going to be the best on our board.
Where's Nick Nash on our board, if you got it pulled up?
Nick Nash. Let me see here real quick. Nick Nash. Yeah, we got him at 129. So he's just right below Pat Bryant. So Here's the beautiful thing. And I know Drew said, look at taking a wide receiver in the third round. Pat Bryant is highest on our board of these clusters. We should be able to get him at 124, no problem. It's going to look like a bad pick, but of course we could wait till 159.
I was just going to say, can we pull up corner? Maybe we go corner here.
That makes sense, right?
Dorian
Strong.
Kobe.
Let's see what we got here, boys. Let's just poke through. Dorian Strong, 151. Denzel Burke was really interesting hearing Greg Cosell talk about him. He said he thinks he's one of the best corners in the draft. His tape in 2023 was outstanding. I've got him in a 201 spot, and it slapped me right in the face like, man, maybe he is way better. Kobe Bryant is in the 143 spot here. Quincy Riley. So Kobe Bryant, here's what I'm thinking, Tim. Kobe Bryant would pick 124, and then wide receiver would pick 159 between Nick Nash and Pat Bryant. What do you think? So
ideally, that would be great. So who do we go with here then?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Probably O-line, right?
I was just saying maybe we go back to O-line or oh man. Stackbacker. Have we looked at Stackbacker at all? Don't crucify me in the chat, but I'd just like to see who's on the board.
It just hit me, man. Kobe Bryant probably won't be there at pick 124. It's going to be a reach here according to them. But let's see, it's 121. So maybe 124. Give me just a second, guys. If y'all are wondering what we're doing, this is what you call working the board. You're trying to get all your players you like the most. You're trying to get as many of them as possible and maneuvering on the board to make sure that it falls right where they're projected. So we're going to go wide receiver with pick 159, right, Tim?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Right, so right now, Kobe Bryant would be the top corner for us. And again, it's going to look like one hell of a reach at pick 87, but we're going to look at offensive line, right? So Cam Williams is there. Emory Jones. Where's Emory Jones? Because I feel like he was somewhat higher early, but I could be wrong. 197. So no Logan Brown. He's low. So there's no tackles that grab our attention. Interior.
Chase Lunt.
What's that?
Chase Lunt from UConn.
Was he there?
Yeah. Where's he at on our board? Chase Lunt, right there, 149.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. I think he is significantly higher for us. Oh, yeah, we get him in the 85 spot.
Okay, so there's a good pick.
So, yeah, now it's going to show a bad pick on their side, but who cares, right? Now let's look at Tate Ratledge. Tate Ratledge is really interesting here. Tate Ratledge, I want to say we're a little lower on. No, we got him. Here it is, Tim. We got Tate Ratledge at 62, bro.
Oh, wow.
And he was a team captain at Georgia.
And this is the guy that played a little center as well, correct?
I think so.
Yeah.
Team captain meets the threshold, at least the early thresholds that we dove into. Chat, what do you think? Here's what it comes down to. It's either Tate Ratledge, interior offensive line here, or we reach on Kobe Bryant to make sure we get him. That's what it comes down to. Tate Ratledge or Kobe Bryant. What are we thinking here? Drew D says Ratledge. H.E. Soder said take a look at tight end. Let's just look real quick. Damn, there's Arroyo. That's interesting. I mean, I just got to take a look here. We're in no hurry, are we, Tim? Elijah Arroyo's in the 64 spot. That would be a good pick here for us. That's another one. So interior offensive line, it comes down to tight end Elijah Arroyo, interior offensive line Tate Ratledge, or reach on cornerback Kobe Bryant, worried that he won't be there at 124. Talk to his chat. Let us know as soon as possible. Let's see. Ratledge. Packers need a speed edge rusher. We already took an edge. Tate Ratledge, an offensive lineman for the Georgia Bulldogs, stands at 6'6", weighs 320 pounds. Damn. Holmes, Ratledge,
big boy right there.
Arroyo. I can understand it. Kenneth Hammond says tight end. Prince says look at running back. You serious, Prince? You want to take a running back? Well,
He's got to be trolling.
Hope so. Damian Martinez.
Gordon. That's my dude right there, Ollie Gordon.
And Damian Martinez, Greg Cosell laughed when they asked him about him. He's like, this kid is a lot of fun to watch. Like watch for Damian Martinez to be a later round solid player there. So, all right. Going back to edge as requested here, Josiah Stewart. I just don't – if we get another edge, we're not going to have room for him, you know?
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Now I'm second-guessing everything and almost wondering, do we go wide receiver here?
Yeah, Josiah Stewart's in that range too at 60, 68, so that wouldn't be a bad pick. There's Jared Ivey there too. I'm trying to remember where we had Jared Ivey. Jared Ivey's actually at 52, so that'd be a solid pick here as well. So I think everybody pretty much said Ratledge, right?
Yep.
Yeah, rat tat tat. All right, we're going to go Tate Ratledge here. Tier offensive lineman from Georgia, another A. Crushed it. All right, let's hope Kobe Bryant is there. And we get to pick 124.
There he is.
He's close. Did he make it? I think he made it, Tim. I think he made it. Boom, there it is. So,
right, so there's Kobe.
So we're going to get Kobe Bryant here with pick 124. That gives us a little bit of cornerback help. Let's hope Jair's on this team, right? Although that's why you went and got Nate Hobbs, so you wouldn't be in no man's land, just like why you went and got Miko Hardman, so you wouldn't be in no man's land if you didn't get a wide receiver. In both cases, that's where we're at right now.
It's true.
So Goody looking like genius. This will probably look like a bad pick because Denzel Burke is the suggestion here. But yeah, I think Quincy Riley's already gone. Yeah, we actually got him a little bit lower on our board. We're not as high on him. So we're going to go Kobe Bryant here. Another A.
Look at that. They gave us an A. Nice.
Bad. So
all right, let's look at receiver.
See what the scrap heap shows, because 159 will be either Pat Bryant, and we're going to let the chat make this pick. Tim, it's going to be Pat Bryant or Nick Nash. Pat Bryant is gone.
Oh, no.
So it's going to be Nick Nash here, right?
Where's Ty Felton on our board?
I think he's significantly lower. Felton is in the 142 spot, all right? Nick Nash is in the 129 spot. And let's see where Jalen Lane is. Jalen Lane's way down the board. All right, so for me, if we're going to take a wide receiver, Nick Nash is the one that makes sense here. We got to do it now, or he's going to be gone. Let me just make sure Ricky Watt ain't higher than him on our board. Actually, he is, Tim. Ricky Watt is 119.
Okay.
So we could get Ricky Watt at 198 and kick the can on down the road with wide receiver again.
Mike Hebring jumping in once again to smack us in the face here. See how hard this is if you don't get wide receiver early?
And again, other people will be watching this mock and going, this is not how the draft's going to fall. So there's many people that think you're going to have a kind of the pick of the litter at wide receiver in that second round cluster. So it's weird, man, because we go to PFF and do the mock draft, and people are like, oh, this is unrealistic. Then you go over here, and it's unrealistic, and it's like nobody truly knows how it's going to fall, right? So everybody's asking about Thornton. Thornton's a beast, right, like in terms of physicality and everything. But the problem with Dante Thornton is he's 276 on our board. The reason being is PFF grade in 23, he was 483rd at his position. He jumped all the way up to 58th last year, which is solid. But at the end of the college football season, the PFF big board had him at 220. The consensus big board had him at 307. That's what's brought him down. And I'm not dogging anybody in the chat because I'm as guilty as anybody at this. The reason people love Dante Thornton is what he did at the combine. Period. If he hadn't had that awesome combine, no one will be talking about it. You know what I mean? So that's the underwear Olympics we talk about. And believe me, when I see the measurables too, I think, well, that'd be nice right here. That'd be real nice. So here's the question for the chat. Do we take Nick Nash now, knowing that Ricky White is a better prospect, but we could double dip as well? Like we could go Nick Nash and then Ricky White, but then do you have enough room in your wide receiver room? Because that means Malik Heath, Bo Melton, one of those guys are gone, right? So
Deadfish is asking, is Elijah Badger still on the board?
See, that's the thing. Elijah Badger's been going earlier now. He's still there. He'll be there at 295.
So that might be our double dip.
That might be the double dip. You're right.
Or a Rock Taylor. There's a couple names down there. You're
so
right.
if we were to hold up and take Ricky White instead of Nick Nash right here, what would be the pick here, Tim? That's the question, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Prince says Jack gets to make this pick, LOL, as we sit here and decide.
Yeah, exactly. All right, chat, make the pick. Let's go. Who's your pick?
Judy says Nash.
All right, Judy. So we got one for Nash.
We've got I've seen one for Dante Thornton here. Jay Cole says Dante Thornton.
Prince says Thornton.
So
what about long snapper? Get out of here, Holmes. What the hell's going on with you? Mike Hebring says Dyke. Dyke is
right there
in the 218 spot. Yeah. Thornton.
Dr. Holmes says Thornton. Another vote for Thornton.
Coach Lynn says he thinks Badger will be gone by the next pick. Harry Cheese says, hey, it looks like it's Thornton. This surprised the heck out of me, man.
Wow. All right.
This pick. Yeah, and this will look like a good pick, according to Mock Draft Database. So we may actually tweet this one out. There's people asking about linebacker too, here, just to make sure. Stutzman is gone.
Settle down, ladies. He's taken.
Yeah, Jack Kaiser would be a solid pick here, but some people think he's undersized. So looks like Thornton ran away with it. We're going Dante Thornton here, Tim, wide receiver out of Tennessee.
Chat's gonna love it.
Yeah, another.
I think it's a good pitch. Yep,
right.
Good pick right there at this point in the draft. So now what's the move at 194?
It's a great question. So now what we've gotten so far is we've taken defensive lineman, like defensive tackle, edge, interior offensive line, cornerback, and wide receiver. So what would be the top need here? There's Jack Kaiser still there staring us in the face, boys.
Wow.
Jack Kaiser, too, on our board, man. He is 103rd now. I've got an article pulled up off to the side, and there'll be people say he's too small, right? Jack Kaiser, I don't have his measurables pulled up, but I want to say he's 6'1", right? Well, guess what? Isaiah McDuffie was 6'1" and 3/8 inches tall, 227 pounds, which is basically Jack Kaiser's size. I want to say he's 6 foot, 6'1", somewhere around that.
PFF's got him at 6'2", but we know that's
not
probably,
true.
That's probably hogwash. Yeah.
So Kaiser would be my pick here, but I want to hear what the chat says. Everybody's saying Nash again. Is that right? So some people.
I was just going to say, I saw Mike Hebring loves Jack Kaiser, by the way, but he did say go wide receiver again. I think there's some validity to that. Like just back to back, grab one now because it's going to get thinner here. Like, can we just look at the receiver board real quick?
Absolutely, man. Nick Nash is there, man.
See, Nash is there.
But Ricky White's higher on our board, so keep that in mind. But you know what I mean? Nick Nash would look like the better pick.
Ricky White might be higher on other people's boards too, and he might not be there at 237.
Yeah. So I feel like it's coming down to Nick Nash, Ricky White, or Jack Kaiser. What does everybody want in the chat? Let us know as quick as possible. Ricky White, Nash, or Jack Kaiser.
Thanks, Mike. Mike says White or Nash.
That's something. Kaiser.
Okay.
Oh, we get a little run on Kaiser.
Let's take the kid from Notre Dame.
Hold up. Nash reads like a Packer. All right, Nash. Kaiser again. This is so close. I can't even. Next one's going to win it, Tim. Nash or Kaiser, guys. Nash or Kaiser. And don't vote twice, you knuckleheads. Nick Nolte.
Get out of the chat. Mike Hebring says Nash. We're double dipping.
All right, we're going Nick Nash, boys. West Coast Nash. I like it. All right, Nick Nash is the pick out of San Jose State, wide receiver at pick 198.
Nice.
Jack Kaiser's going to go somewhere and ball out. It's going to break my heart. So that's one of the few times that I found myself going, I want that Notre Dame boy with this pick right here, because I usually talk myself out of him. Kenneth Hammond was just a little bit late with the Kaiser pick. But all right, now what do we do, boys?
D-line
we've got
again.
Jalen Lane, wide receiver, Jai Joyner, Ty Hamilton, Howard Cross the third.
Tight end.
Got a tight end there, Nuke Lachey.
Out of Iowa.
There's
Aronde Gadsden. There's a pick.
Gadsden.
Aronde Gadsden.
Gadsden would be the pick here according to our board. He's 99 on our big board, guys.
Oh man, let's get approval from the chat.
Yeah,
hey, chat,
would y'all be okay?
Aronde Gadsden?
Everybody's asking about Badger again. Badger is still there. Badger will be there at 250. It looks like this time. That's wild. I mean, there's a good chance. So, yeah, Gadsden seems like the pick here, man.
Bates says run it.
Yeah.
I do see a couple of valid points bringing up cornerback. Should we just take a glance at corner?
Jabbar Muhammad. Let's see here. Let's take a couple looks here. Jabbar Muhammad. If I can get it to pull up here. Yeah, we've got him. Actually, that's Ron Muhammad. Jabbar. We've got him at 233. That one doesn't make sense.
Jalen Smith. I know we got him higher than 213, right?
Jalen Smith is 211. You were right, Tim.
I guess technically.
Yeah, so none of the corners are really shaking out right now. To me, the slam dunk is tied in. Just looking around some of the interior offensive line, nothing grabs my attention. There's Jalen Travis at tackle. Esapo, we actually met with him.
Yeah.
That's interesting to see him climbing up the boards a little bit. So is anybody opposed to it? We're going to go Gadsden here, I think, man. Still need a linebacker is what Deadfish said. It's a good point. When you look at linebacker, it is thin now, my friends, really thin. Yeah, it's ugly. We missed out on backer. So we double dip a
That's
wide
okay.
receiver.
Tyron Hopper's going to be a monster, so we're all good.
I was looking at some of the measurables, man, going through on the Patreon group earlier today, putting an article together on the thresholds, and there was a few of them. I was like, I didn't realize he had that good of an RAS card, Tyron Hopper. So,
yeah.
All right. And Prince makes a good point. We signed 2 linebackers in free agency, right? I mean, it is true. So they may be kind of setting themselves up for that. All right. Yeah. Everybody's mentioning the tight end from Iowa, Lachey.
Yeah.
Lachey, we've gotten the 192 spot. To put that into perspective, here's why he is there. In 2024, there were 178 other tight ends that graded higher than him, according to PFF. The PFF Big Board had him at 176 at the end of the college football season, and the consensus Big Board had him at 132. Now, if we were to compare that to Gadsden, and the reason we like Gadsden so much more, in 2022, Gadsden was the 43rd highest grade tight end. He was injured in 2023, but got completely healthy in 24, where he was the 9th highest graded tight end in all of college football.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just shy of 1,000-yard season.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Gadsden here, boys. Prince says boy band tight ends never work out. Which, Nick Lachey was actually born in the same hospital I was born. True story.
Oh, wow. Fun fact. I love it.
Back in the sticks. Way back in the sticks. So
there is a part of me that feels a little guilty about not taking the tight end out of Iowa. I mean, it's tight end university, but the stats tell us otherwise, right? I think Gadsden's the pick, man.
Yeah, it feels like it here, man. So I just want to make sure. Yeah, that was right. It was Nick Lachey. I couldn't remember if it was a different boy band, but Nick Lachey was born in the same hospital as me. So, all right, we're doing it. We're going Gadsden. I'm going to override right here and say let's do it. Gadsden is the pick at tight end, so we got us a tight end. I really like that, too. You can flex him out wide. We got us some targets when you think about it, Tim. You go Dante Thornton, who's a burner, Nick Nash, who was a solid pick according to our board, and a Rondé Gadsden, a top 100 pick on our board, tight end that can flex out a little bit as well. So I kind of like that. I like it. All right. Everybody booed. All right. Let's go.
That means we did something right.
All right. So pick 150. What were we talking about? Was it another receiver? It was, wasn't it?
Corner.
It was Elijah Badger, wasn't it? that would look like a horrible pick here, and we've already taken 2 wide receivers. So you want to see corner, you said, Tim?
Yeah.
Man,
Look
they're
at
all
that.
still there.
Jalen Smith, they're all still there. All right.
Let me see where Cypress is. It may look ugly with the grade, but yeah, he's way down. Yeah, we don't have anybody. There's Brandon Adams. Where's Brandon Adams? I don't even think we got Brandon Adams on our board. We ain't even got him on our board. It's not a good sign. So yeah, we're done with corner pretty much. Linebacker, nothing really there. Wide receiver, it would be Elijah Badger if we went that route. Clay Webb. There's Marcus Weir. Yeah, I want to say he has dropped since we started this process. Let's see here. WEHR. Yeah, he's in the 206 spot. Wouldn't be a horrible pick. Drew Kendall.
Crowded on that interior O line though.
We really are. You're right. Let me just look
at the O line. I'd go tackle here.
Try to shore it up on the edge, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's saying Jalen Travis would be a suggested pick, but I think he's lower. Yeah, he's in the 222 spot.
Still on the board. Wow.
Jack Nelson's 148 on our board, boys.
There's a guy
out of Wisconsin.
I don't think any Badger fans would be upset if we took him.
I don't either. There's Esapole again. That's interesting. Jack Nelson will be a solid pick here for us at pick 250. I mean, you're getting him 100 spots higher than or 100 spots lower than it's showing him on the board. I think that would be my pick here. It'd be either him or Elijah Badger, and we've already gotten 2 receivers. So I think I would go Wisconsin Badger Jack Nelson here, boys.
Yeah, I'm between Pohl and Nelson here. I think leaning towards Nelson.
Yeah, and I want to say Esapole is he's way down the list for us. I know the Packers met with him and they like him, but we got him at 353. I kind of see him as, at that top 30 visit, maybe as one of those undrafted free agents that the Packers like to do top 30 visits with.
Doc says Nelson. Drew D says Nelson.
Yeah, everybody's on board with the Badger. I'm with you, man. Let's do it for all of our Wisconsin listeners out there. We're gonna go Jack Nelson, offensive tackle. That A+.
Holy cow! Look at that. What's our GPA on this one?
Yeah, this is pretty good, man. Nick Nash is the only one that hurt.
Yeah,
it really is. So,
and I don't feel bad about that at all. I still think it's a good pick.
Not at all. All right, let's do a quick recap, gang. This is your Green Bay Packers mock draft 7-round. We got pick 23. We went defensive tackle Kenneth Grant. Pick 54, we went edge defender Landon Jackson. I really like that Landon Jackson pick. I do. Pick 87, Tate Ratledge, interior offensive lineman out of Georgia. Pick 124, we went Kobe Bryant, cornerback out of Kansas. Pick 159, we went Dante Thornton, wide receiver out of Tennessee. Pick 198, Nick Nash, wide receiver, San Jose State. Pick 237, Aronde Gatson, the second tight end out of Syracuse. And pick 250, Jack Nelson, offensive tackle out of Wisconsin. I really like that. Now, let's Tim, you were asking about first-round quarterbacks, and we'll wrap this big bear up. Shedeur Sanders went number 1. Jalen Walker went number 2. Of course, the Browns would screw that up. Number 3 is another quarterback in Cam Ward. Then number 4, Will Campbell, offensive tackle to LSU, or to the Patriots out of LSU. Mason Graham fell all the way to 5th to the Jaguars. Jahdae Barron went 6th.
Wow.
Well, he is skyrocketing up boards. Armand Membo went to the Jets. Shamar Stewart went 8th to the Panthers. Abdul Carter fell all the way down to 9th with the Saints. Travis Hunter went to the Bears. Michael Williams went 11th to the 49ers. Ted McMillan has been going to the Cowboys every mock draft, hasn't he? Ashton Gianti goes 13th to the Dolphins. Colston Loveland goes 14th to the Colts. Jahid Campbell 15th to the Falcons. Kelvin Banks 16th to the Cardinals. Walter Nolan went 17th to the Bengals. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle, goes 18th to the Seahawks. Ty Warren, tight end out of Penn State, goes 19th to the Buccaneers. Hold up a minute. Is Ty Warren being mocked lower than Colston Loveland?
Did they just flip?
That's interesting. Keep an eye on that, guys. There might be something there. Luther Burden, wide receiver, goes to the Broncos at 20. Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky, cornerback, goes 21 to the Steelers. Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan with that injury, falls all the way down to 22 to the Chargers. Kenneth Grant was our pick, obviously, at 23. Donovan Jackson, interior offensive lineman to the Vikings at 24. Derek Harmon goes 25 to the Texans. Trey Amos, cornerback, goes to the LA Rams at 26. Nick Emenware goes 27th to the Ravens. Mike Green falls all the way to the Detroit Lions. That's exactly where he belongs. Matthew Golden, wide receiver, goes to the Commanders at 29. James Pierce Jr. goes to the Bills at 30. That'd be a nice little Von Miller replacement. Malik Stark, safety out of Georgia, goes 31 to the Chiefs, and Gray Zabel goes 32.
So we said 4 or 5 quarterbacks earlier in the show.
Right?
We got 2 off
we
the
get
board.
2. That was 2, right? Yeah. Hey, I'm telling you, man, this is now. Imagine
you see how it affected our draft too, right? You see how this board ended up falling.
Last thing we'll do here, we're picking 23rd. Imagine 2 quarterbacks go before us, and let's say this still falls in place as it has. That means we would have also been able to choose between Will Johnson and Maxwell Harris.
Yep.
That makes sense. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, no doubt. Mike says, watch Mike Green be a perennial superstar in Detroit. Mike Green, listen, Mike Green, in my opinion, he's I wouldn't put him above healthy Abdul Carter, but he's probably second if I remember correctly, Tim. I want to say he's second on our board in edge defender. Abdul Carter's the top edge defender. Then James Pierce Jr. Actually, he's dropped a little bit. James Pierce Jr., then Shamar Stewart, then Mike Green. But Mike Green led college football in sacks, right? It's just that off the field stuff that's why he fell so far. And if he keeps his nose clean, unfortunately, I could see him doing exactly what Mike Hebring just said, man.
Where did Ezraku go? As long as we're talking about edge,
he did not go in the first round.
Wow.
So Ezraku went 40.
Oh, the Bears. Oh no, we can't have that.
Suck, dude. So they got Travis Hunter, right? Cornerback / wide receiver. They got Omarion Hampton, running back, and they got Ezraku at edge.
Burn this draft to the ground. Delete this. Do not save this.
There you go. So in terms of quarterback, Jackson Dart went 45 to the Colts. Where did Jalen Milroe go? He's got to be close here somewhere, right? Jalen Milroe went to the Lions. Let's see where the next quarterback went. Where are you at, sir? The next QB would be way down the list, huh?
Wow.
And I mean way down the list. Will Howard to the Lions. They took 2 quarterbacks.
Oh, man. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Something ain't right with this draft.
Yeah. That's it. We're out.
AFAM's in here messing around with the draft.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. There you go. Chris Cash win in all caps. He's screaming. You want to scream it for me, Tim?
Donovan Ezraku only had 1 less sack than Mike Green. Amen. Say it as loud as you can.
There you go. All right. That's it, boys. That was a fun draft. Appreciate y'all recommending it. If you didn't like it, blame Chris. It was his idea, I'm pretty sure. Wasn't it, Chris? It was Chris.
Yes, sir.
I think it was Chris. So, again, thanks for the super chats, guys. United Bates, appreciate you, buddy. That was a fun breakdown, man. Thanks for the good idea. Chris with the super chat, triggering the mock draft. Mike Hebring with the super chats here as well. We appreciate you guys. So, again, scan the QR code in the upper right. Join our Patreon group. It's growing like crazy. We're trying to put more and more content out for you guys. I'm going to get a couple more Chalk Talk episodes uploaded. So, you guys just go to the collections tab, click on Chalk Talks, and you got them in order, I think, weeks 1 through 7 or 8 now. And you can go back and watch that full episode where we broke down. And here's the other thing. You can fast forward through the first 20 or 30 minutes of the show to get to the film breakdown. We just kind of talk about leading up to it. So that's the beautiful thing, too, about having that link in there. You can just jump right in there and watch it. So just another perk to being in the Patreon group. Again, I already reached out, sent a DM. I haven't heard back yet. Jake G126, you won the autograph Javon Bullard rookie card. Michael Godfrey was gifted the autographed Mason Crosby card. It was won by Chewy. Chewy had already won a contest. He said, hey, give it to the second place. So I'm looking for Michael Godfrey. And then this Saturday, everyone who's a member of our Patreon group, just the $3 tier, we're going to be giving away an autographed rookie card of Katan Oladapo. These were all donated by Jazambi. So that'll be the next giveaway. We've also got a Sean Ryan and a Bo Melton coming up. So again, make sure you're a member of the Patreon group by Saturday or by midnight Friday night, and then we're going to give that away on Saturday. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Tim, thank you, man. I know we went long. Appreciate you hanging out, bro.
Oh, this was great. Thanks for having me, Clay.
All right, guys, we will talk to y'all tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live. Everybody have a great day.
And we gone.
We're out.
Bye, guys.